Guys, you know I've been a big fan of the Miguron knife stuff. Since Jared sent me the Valona, which I have come out and said I think is the best budget knife on the market, the best bang for your buck. And a lot of their knives have been really cool, but I think this one is just one that misses the mark a little bit for me. So I'm going to give you my honest opinions on it. Let's turn this around. We'll take a look at the Miguron Knives Erico. All right, guys. So this is the Miguron Knives Erico, and it's not, I want to make this clear. This is not a bad knife. I just don't think this is a knife that appeals to me compared to a lot of the other Miguron knives. There's just a lot of stuff. It is a very well-built knife. It's got a unique look to it. Very out of sorts with the other stuff I've seen from Miguron. Their lines are usually a lot smoother and things like that. But let's get into it. So this is titanium carbon fiber M390 steel that is in a, it's not really a drop point. It's not a clip point. It's just pretty much a straight edged blade, a straight blade all the way down, with a nice bit of flat, which I do appreciate, and a little bit of belly. It's got a beautiful fuller that runs the full length with an aperture that works really well for reverse flick. You've got carbon fiber inlays on this that are done really, really well, and they did some weight reduction. I do have to say this is one of the lightest knives in this size you're going to find, because it's coming in just at about 8.5 inches on the mat, for giving a little parallax from the angle I'm sitting at. The blade is ground down really, really thin. This slices like a laser, and it's done in a very fine bead blast or a glass blast finish. There's no real spots where you can feel too much of the inlay. There's a little bit of a lip, but it's done really well. The Miguron pivot is actually pretty attractive, and they've not done anything special. There's not like a pop of color where it's, you know, unilateral, where you don't have the same look from side to side. And then nice deepish carry pocket clip on this. The action on it, nice and smooth. It flies open, and the cutting I did with it, like I said, absolutely screams through material. No issues with that. So there's the good stuff. Now let's get into some of the stuff that just kind of is out of sorts for me with a Miguron knife, because I'm used to something a little different from them. So let's go ahead and we'll do flip side of the story, flip side of knife, and we'll tell you the stuff that are reasons why it's just not a knife for me. So like I said, kind of out of character for Miguron, this design. It's not a bad design at all. Let me be clear, but it's just got some stuff about it that I'm not a fan of. First of all, it's another one of those knives. When I get it in a natural grip, it's out of alignment of the cut. For me, it has to have something to do with my hand size and the fact that this is chamfered over, and the shape of the handle. It just kind of rolls out of the cut. And then next thing on that, where the jimping is at, it's completely not where I want it. It does have good jimping, but I didn't mention the jimping because the jimping needed to be up here on this knife, because when you're in that natural grip, that's where your thumb falls, is all the way up here. The access to the lock bar, it's adequate, but this is one of those knives that definitely would have been better if some material had been removed here and lowered that side. As you can see, it's completely flush. And if you got big hands, it's a little tight. And then with the removal of the material on this side, it's almost a little thin. They remove material here. What they should have done on the inside here, they should have just taken this material down and then left this a little thicker, because even though you've got all that access that opening presents, it feels like the lock bar is too thin. And that's something that happens when companies do that, that right there. The next thing, I hate the flipper tab. I miss the flipper tab 90% of the time. It's just not enough there. The flipper tab should have been a good bit bigger. And then the jimping that's up here on that, it gets you nowhere. So you've got jimping all the way up here, but you're only touching these last two. And so it does feel a little sharper than it needs to. It's kind of a hard edge on that. If the flipper tab had just been a little bit bigger, I think that would have been better. The next thing, the weight distribution. It feels out of sorts. The blade is so light, And then they've removed material here and here that the blade, the balance is in a weird position for me. I like more of a neutral central balance, and it's definitely the balance point is right here. I think if they had just not put the carbon fiber here, it would have either been tail heavy, or had left this out, it would have been more neutral balanced. So I think that this suffers from weight reduction being done in a way where you have the majority of the weight of the knife is right here. I would rather it be all the way at the tail, in the middle, or more towards the tip of the knife. Next thing, as much as I like the pocket clip sits right on top of these cutouts for the lock bar tension, and it does tear up pockets. Like, I carried it today. Well, I carried it last night at work. It's 1 a.m. for me, so this is like midday for me. It's almost lunchtime because I'm working graveyards. But in and out of pocket, it was tearing up my pockets. I wound up taking it out. And then on top of that, when you've got this in hand, because those cutouts come all the way down, they are a little sharp. They didn't chamfer that very much. So those edges are kind of hard, and you definitely feel it in your hand when you're gripping up on it, especially when I then have to reposition to get in the cut, as opposed to the way it naturally falls in my hand. And then the final thing, which is pretty egregious for one of their knives. If you look, the plunge starts here, but then all of that blade thickness, that ramps up, and that blade gets perceptibly thick from that point, that line that you see right there, all the way back. This needed a choil of some sorts. If you were going to do this, either you needed to figure out a way to do your plunge so it was further back and not have that ramp, or put a choil in there and then make the blade and the overall knife a little bit bigger. That is definitely going to be problematic, because as you're sharpening it, you're never going to get that sharp. You're really never going to get that sharp, and it already has a smile, a bad smile on a factory edge. So with all that stuff put together, this just isn't one for me. It is a good knife. It's well made. It cuts really well for the cutting that I've done. There's just too many factors at play here that just make this a negative on it. And it's the only other knife that I've given a bad review was the Gladiator. Was it the Gladiator? Yes, the Gladiator that I got. And that was because the steel on it, I don't think was heat treated properly, but I've never had another issue with any of the Miguron stuff with their heat treat. So with that being said, I don't think you're going to see a final review of this. I don't think I'm going to carry it. It's just, I've got so many other things to do. I don't think I'll carry it. So for me, yeah, I even missed that. For me, on this one, is it a yup or a not? For me, it's a nah. I'm going to pass on this one. I really don't enjoy carrying it, and I don't think it'll wind up getting a good review. So I think this is probably the last video for this. So guys, with that being said, let's turn this around. We'll do some final thoughts. I'll send you out about your day. Yeah, there you go, guys. As much as I don't think this is a knife for me, I'm probably not going to do a full review of it, because I just don't, there's too many negatives for me personally, in my opinion, to carry it. It is a very well built knife, and it cuts very well. So there is a group of people that this is going to appeal to. I will put a link to it in the description down below, so you can purchase one if you want. But yeah, just right now for me, just not the knife I would purchase. So guys, if you like the videos, please drop a like, hit the subscribe button. There's a lot of ways you can support the channel. I have a ton of affiliate links down below and an Amazon store. You can use those for the knife shopping you do, and the Amazon one, you can take that, pin it to your browser, use it for all your Amazon shopping. It supports the channel. It doesn't cost you anything at checkout. Any of those do. I've got discount codes built into two of my sponsors, Coffee Brand Coffee and Tempered Trail, down below. Saves you 10% at checkout. And I also have a coupon code that will save you 10% at Fair & Forge Knife Worth, 10% at Rosecraft Blades, 10% at KATSU, and 40% at Beyond EDC Knives. And that coupon code is crazysharp, all one word, all lowercase. I have a public Discord down below that you can get into. Please use that. It's a lot of fun. There's a knife sale section. If you got questions about stuff, or if you want to reach out to me, there's a DM function where you can hit me up if you want to get stuff on the channel, or if you have questions. And I have a paid membership where I have a private Discord. I do exclusive content, premium sharpening tutorial series, and giveaways. I don't remember. Anyway, guys, that's it. I love you all. Keep it clean in the comments section. If it's your birthday, happy birthday. I'll see you in the next video.